For the first time since 2016, the Houston Astros returned to Pittsburgh. The last time they won a game, Colin McHugh is on the mound. This is a special crossover edition of Locked On Pirates and Locked On Astros. Let's start it right now.
Alvarez hits a high drive center field. Beer leans back. This game is turned upside down. There's the runner. Fly ball down the right field line. Tucker comes on. Kyle Tucker. This time they finish the job.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Heisman and Brett HTown Wheelhouse Chansey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Heisman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Astros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can you find you at?
They can find me at HTown Wheelhouse on Twitter and Instagram. They can find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive. Positive. I love when Ethan joins us. Always Stros.
All right, and we got the 6-3 Pirates as our next opponent. 6-3 Pirates. When did you think you're ever going to hear that? Ethan Smith, how you doing, buddy? Tell us where they could find your podcast. Where can they find you at?
They can find me on Twitter at MVP_Ethan and at Locked On Pirates. And you can find my show anywhere where you guys find this wonderful show. So, you know, the Locked On family continues to grow. I'm realizing I'm rhyming a lot here. I don't want to keep rhyming here because I'm going to have to start rapping a little bit. And I don't think you guys want that.
No, you're not from Detroit, so I don't think that will work very well. So, guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Go ahead and check out Ethan as well over on YouTube, and go and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Check out Locked On Astros or Locked On, not Lastros, not the last. I guess last of the Astros is what we say with the Astros, but I don't know what you would say with the Pirates. So, but the Pirates no longer are in last place right now. They're doing pretty good is what I was trying to say. So make sure you go check out the Locked On Pirates podcast. So I'm excited about this. This is the first time since 2016 that the Astros have been in Pittsburgh. The last time that we've been in, the Astros actually played there. AJ Reed was the first baseman, and you've had a lot of weird. Garrett Cole was still a member of the Pirates, so it's been a long time. This should be an epic series, but I think the big elephant in the room is the injury to O'Neill Cruz. And I know I have him on two of my fantasy teams, and that was a big loss because, yes, his batting average wasn't great last year, but the kid's got some pop. And so what does this mean for the Pirates?
Right at the time of recording right now, we don't know what the corresponding move is. The only thing we know is that he has a fractured left ankle. We don't know the extent of the fracture. We don't know if he's going to need surgery or not. We don't know a lot of different things. Obviously, the situation surrounding it, there have been varying opinions on it. I will stay away from that because I kind of voiced them already on my show earlier today that I had over at Locked On Pirates. You obviously are replacing the kid, but for the first time in a while, the Pirates do have a ton of options in AAA, which I might add, Indianapolis, our AAA affiliate, has won 5 straight games at the time of recording. So they're doing something right down there right now. But they actually have options that are going to be just fine while he's gone. Hopefully he's only gone for a month or two, but this is the Pirates we're talking about here. I'm used to pain and suffering, being 24 years old and only seeing this team have a winning record 4 times. But again, it's unfortunate. It is what it is. And the Pirates are going to have to figure it out. But having veterans like Carlos Santana, Andrew McCutchen, Rich Hill, who you guys are going to see in this series, having those guys in the clubhouse, this is what we were talking about in the offseason when these guys were coming in. These guys have seen this happen before to a star player on their team. They know how to react to it. They know how to tell the young guys, hey, it's going to be fine. We're 6-3 to start the season. Let's keep it rolling. That's pretty much how it's going to end up being for us.
So who are the guys, Cruz has been a guy that is, I think, on everybody's list. Of course, Brian Reynolds, I think, is the, the hot item. He's the guy that everybody's wanting to take out on the next date because everybody wants Brian Reynolds. Other than Brian Reynolds, who in this lineup should Astros fans keep an eye on? Is it Sawinski? I know you got some young talent. Who in this lineup really shines that can pose a threat to Astros pitching?
Well, so far, Ji-Hwan Bae has definitely been a guy that's given some other teams fits. You probably won't see him in the Monday game because he is a lefty. He struggled very bad against Nick Lodolo, and the one time we did see him against a lefty. There may have been other times too, but I obviously don't remember them because he didn't do anything of note for me to remember them. He's not very good against left-handed pitching, but then when we see Christian Javier on Tuesday, I would expect him to be in the lineup, and he'll also probably be replacing O'Neill Cruz as the leadoff guy because he brings a very good element of speed. The kid had one of the funkiest bunts I've ever seen where the ball bounced over the pitcher.
Wow.
I don't know how it happened, but he still made it work. Canaan Smith and Jigba, shout out to his brother Jackson, who's going to be getting drafted by some NFL team this year, maybe the Houston Texans. Who knows? He's done some good things so far this year already. Connor Joe, who – fascinating story here for Astros fans that don't know. Connor Joe was drafted by Pittsburgh, a part of a trade. I forget which trade it was a long time ago. Obviously a mainstay with the Colorado Rockies for quite some time. And then we go out and trade for him this offseason to bring him back to where he was originally drafted. He's had a pretty good start with things as well. Obviously, Ke'Bryan Hayes. I know you guys love Ke'Bryan Hayes over here. I probably don't even have to mention that. There's a lot to like about this lineup right now. Obviously, the offense has been kind of inconsistent. We've seen them absolutely destroy the White Sox in one game and then score one run and have 2 hits and win the game on Sunday. So it just depends on what Pirates offense wants to show up.
Yeah, and I'm trying to do the math here, looking at how many strikeouts you had today. So 9. So I'm trying to see how much. So the Pirates have 77 strikeouts from the hitters this season. The Astros have, 95 strikeouts. Yeah. So just think about this, Ethan. Y'all have 18 fewer strikeouts than the Astros do at this point in the season. And we're looking at an Astros team that is in a place where we have not seen in a long time. Normally they're at the very bottom in terms of strikeouts. They make good contact. They get the doubles. They get the home runs. OPS is normally way up at the top. Now we're way at the bottom. So this offense is sputtering a little bit. Dusty Baker made a change, taking Jeremy Pena away from the leadoff spot and moving him down, and Chas McCormick moving him to the leadoff spot. So you're not facing the Astros at full strength right now. Mm-hmm. Especially with, we talked about this off air, Jose Altuve is probably going to be out at least 2 months with the broken thumb. And then Michael Brantley, we just got an update today that he may be back at the first week of May, maybe if everything goes well. And then Lance McCullers, we don't know. We haven't got much updates about him recently, but so the Astros are probably dealing with pretty significant injuries right now. So we know where Pirates fans are, how y'all are feeling right now with the whole O'Neill Cruz thing. I don't know how long he's going to be out, but that's a big blow to replace somebody like him on the roster. And so it's luckily the farm system, like you said, is built to kind of replenish these guys.
So, well, Ethan, I wanted to say one thing about this offense coming into Pittsburgh. And of course, I don't have to tell you this because I know you follow baseball and probably a lot of Pittsburgh fans. It looks like you got some pretty smart fans that hang out on your show and watch your show. But Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker have been absolutely crushing the ball this year. They to me are one of the best dynamic duos in all of Major League Baseball, with the RBIs, the home runs. And it's just phenomenal to see these guys, what they're doing. I mean, we got this rookie, Corey Jolks. He's a local kid from Friendswood here. He's batting over 300. And then, like Eric mentioned, Chas McCormick moving to the leadoff spot. It's been phenomenal. Dana Brown's got his work cut out for him because we've got some injuries to look at. We've got some contract extensions to think about. And before I continue on that, I want to tell everybody about Ultimate Baseball GM. So Ultimate Pro Baseball GM is the ultimate game. And let me tell you, I am loving playing this game. Now, I thought that I could be a GM. I really thought that I had what it took. But what I'm finding out is it's a lot harder. It's a lot easier to say that you should do a trade or make a move, and it's a lot different thing to spend the money and to make sure the players are performing. This is a simulation game, but it's like you're really there. It is just historic what they've done and put together all in one app. Hiring the right coaches and staff, scouting and drafting players, navigating your franchise through free agency, through the ups and downs, up to the playoffs. I know Ethan plays this game, and he's actually pretty stinking good at it from what I understand. I don't know how many times he's been fired as GM. I know I've been fired twice for spending too much money. And what? Going to the ALCS wasn't enough? Sorry, owner. You can't win every World Series. But that's why this challenging and realistic game is so fun. It's completely free, playable offline. You play on the go as you want, when you want to. So Locked On Astros and Locked On Pirates listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when you use the promo Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, just visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up on the app stores. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today. So, guys, as I was saying real quick, just to kind of wrap it up, with this offense, when this offense does what it's expected to do, top to bottom, it's a murderer's row. I mean, I know our bottom 3 or 4 hitters aren't exactly, Mickey Mantle and these guys, but we've got, Jose Abreu set an Astros club record for a 10-game hitting streak, his first 10 games in an Astros uniform. What do you love about someone like Alvarez and Tucker, not maybe playing against your Pittsburgh Pirates, but about their game in the batter's box as major leaguers?
One thing I would say about Yordan Alvarez is I'd love him in a Pirates uniform with the Clemente wall, because I'm going to go ahead and tell you, Astros fans, he's going to do it once this series. He's either going to, I know he's going to put one over that wall. It just matters, is he going to put it out of the stadium and put it in the Allegheny River? And he has that power to do so. Kyle Tucker, interestingly enough, I actually kind of almost did it in my prediction show. I put him as a dark horse, as a guy who could win an MVP in the American League this year. Now, obviously, you're going to have the people who are going to give you the boring answer of Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge, because obviously, for obvious reasons. But Kyle Tucker, too, I also pride on the fact that he's a very good defensive outfielder, too. And I always enjoyed those guys that not only do they go up to the plate and hit the baseball, they go play out in the field, too, and make more of an impact in that part. And Yordan Alvarez, just awesome, dude. From what I know, he's a phenomenal stand-up guy, too. So, obviously, the same thing about Kyle Tucker. Alex Bregman, love playing with him in MLB The Show 23, by the way. They already came out with a 96 overall card for him. Also, the local product you mentioned got a Topps Now card in MLB The Show for his performances over the last week. There's a lot of guys that I like in your lineup that are going to be fun. I just hope that they are fun another time. Like, be
not
fun
in
right,
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, be fun right now. And something I do want to add to Astros fans that might be getting used to, like everybody else is, with the new schedule, we do not play again this year. This is just the only time we play, because I think what's happening is you're switching, like flip-flopping, like how the NFL does right now with the 17th game. It's either home or away. That's all they're doing, is they just evened it out to where the American League teams are going to play the National League teams a certain amount of time, or I think it's like 3 games or 4 games, however they did it. So it's going to be interesting to know that this early on, this is the only time these two teams will see each other all year. Because, yes, I'm an optimistic Pirates fan, but I do not think we would be matching up with Houston in the World Series in October. Would it be fun? Yes, it would be, but I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, that's what makes it even more intriguing, is you don't really get the idea of, oh, we'll get them back again in a couple months. No, you're not going to see them again until 2024, and you won't see them again in Pittsburgh until 2025. So that makes for even more of an interesting series, in my opinion, on top of Pirates fans getting to see the likes of Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker in person, which is something they can't usually say.
And something else that we can't really look at when we're looking at the preview for the series is these guys have not faced each other a lot. You might see a couple people in the lineup that have, but mostly they haven't. So in game one, it's going to be Framber Valdez versus Roansy Contreras. Both of them have a pretty good ERA. Valdez is 1.50, 13 strikeouts. Contreras has 1.59 ERA, 2 strikeouts, but he's only made 1 start from what I understand.
Yeah.
So, but the only one that's, is it Connor Joe?
Yes, Connor Joe.
Yeah, Connor Joe has 2 bats versus Framber Valdez and batting 500. And Carlos Santana, of course, you have that big history, but that's still only 5 at bats. He's batting 200. That's all the experience, the history we have between.
G-Man Choi really never faced Framber Valdez in Tampa.
That is weird.
Well,
that's really weird.
Hold on. So Choi, oh, you know what? Yeah, he's listed as not having faced Framber Valdez. That is
really weird. Yeah,
that is an anomaly because we played them quite a bit when he was with the Rays. That's interesting. You know, I didn't even, because when I saw Choi, I literally forgot that he still wasn't a Ray, right? But what a nice addition. A veteran bat is a solid glove, you know, goes up at the plate, is going to give you quality ABs. Brian Hayes, I know, like, he didn't have a phenomenal year. Like, how is he? Is he growing into his own? Does he have all-star potential? Tell me more about Brian Hayes right now as a Pirate.
Right now, the big thing is getting the elevation off of the bat. That's been the problem that he's had offensively for quite some time. Defensively, he's the best defensive third baseman in baseball. I mean, he makes the most difficult plays look so routine. So when he signed that big extension last year, I think a lot of people got lost in the fold there, that they were signing this all-star caliber player right away. No, you were paying for a Gold Glove defensive third baseman to be here for almost a decade. That is the entire point of why that extension was signed last year. The bat, I think, is going to come along eventually. I mean, he's already had a couple of moments this year where if he would have just got like 1 degree more on a launch angle, the ball would have been out of the stadium. Offensively, I think he'll eventually be fine, but I don't think he's ever going to be hitting 275, 280 consistently all year. Right now, I believe he's at 139, and somehow he's a negative WAR player. Yeah. It's very early, but I don't know how he's a negative WAR player with some of the plays he makes over at third base. But he naturally is going to be about a 240 to 260 guy, but you always know the glove is there. As long as that wrist and that hand are there on his left hand, you have nothing to worry about because he's going to be just fine. And the shift rules haven't really affected that for him at all either, which is something that I was very interested to ask you guys about too. Having a guy like Yordan Alvarez and having guys in your lineup that get shifted a lot, have they seen success already from not having to deal with everybody being on the right side the entire time?
Well, I know there's one game in particular that both Alvarez and Tucker both got hits on. If there is a shift in place, then they would have got out. But for the most part, I think that it's helping them. The bases being shortened is helping, I think, stealing overall. So, but yeah, the shifting is definitely going to be beneficial for Tucker and Alvarez.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I mean, they hit the ball on such a straight line. I had a real cool experience. I want to kind of relate this to the shift. My son and I went to a Rice baseball game, and we had about a 20 or 30-minute conversation with Jose Cruz and Enrique Cruz. Enrique Cruz, they're about to celebrate 20th anniversary of their 2003 College World Series win at Rice. But I asked Jose Cruz, if you were to be in today's game and the shift, or you were to hit in Minute Maid Park, like, would you have hit more home runs in Minute Maid Park than in the Astrodome? He said, absolutely. He said, I had to learn how to become an opposite field hitter. As people didn't shift and stuff, but if people would have shifted back then, like they were doing, he goes, they probably would have taken away a lot of those hits. And he says, but as a Major League Baseball player, you have to make an adjustment. Right. And I said, so I really think Tucker and Alvarez are going to benefit from the shift being banned. He goes, absolutely, because then the players, he goes, are where they're supposed to be, is what he said. And it was just neat, just getting this knowledge from one of the most storied players in Astros franchise history. And not only did he spend time talking to me, he was talking to my son. Hey, what do you play? Talking about basketball and the sport he plays. And he was like mentoring my son, like right there. I mean, that's just so cool, you know, but he just had tons of great things to say about, you know, Tucker and Alvarez and how much he enjoyed watching them play baseball.
Oh yeah. And by the way, fun part about that too, that you mentioned that we were talking about the shift in the Pirates final game against the White Sox for the first time I've seen all year. Elvis Andrus of the White Sox actually got a shift violation because his back heel was in the outfield grass while he was playing second base.
So what was the result? Like shift violation? Did he get like a yellow card? Is this like
ball? A ball goes to the batter.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
The pitcher turns around. Get your freaking feet in the.
Get your feet in the grass. Which I will also mention to Astros fans too. Your pitchers are going to have to get used to where our pitch clocks are, because it was a big topic on our broadcast today. Instead of being like directly behind home plate, they're like near the dugouts.
Really?
Yeah. So it's caused a lot of issues at PNC Park already through the 3 games we played, with a lot of pitch clock violations and hitting violations. Yeah. Because as you guys saw with HTown just doing, you have to kind of look over and then do it, which we know how pitchers are. They're like animals of habit. Right. They don't want to like look away from the catcher's mitt. And something else I've thought I'd bring up too is Michael McHenry, who used to play catcher for us not too long ago, brought up the idea of the pitch comm. The catchers, and maybe the Astros could start doing this too. I don't know why they would need to, but maybe they could. With the pitch clock, if it gets down to a certain point where you're about to get the violation, buzz your pitcher. Be like, hey, we got to get this thing on the road. And that was something I didn't think about earlier. So I figured I'd add that's another layer to coming to PNC Park, is it's already kind of had some issues in terms of pitch clocks and batter violations. And I mean, hey, we had a 2-pitch strikeout earlier today because of a batter violation.
See, Eric and I already kind of have a system, because look, you see my finger right here? Mm-hmm. Eric will, if I'm going too long making a point, I'll see this. This is our pitch comm.
Your pitch
like,
comm.
Keep going. Okay, move along, Brett. So we already have a system. So maybe they could hire, maybe they could hire Eric and I to help with this pitch comm situation. Like, we come up with a system, they could hire us. We could work for the Astros. I like that idea.
I think that'd be so rare for that to happen, Brett, for that to happen. So, Ethan, this episode is brought to us by So Rare. Let's talk about it.
So Rare, by the way, phenomenal app that I actually already used today. I used it over the weekend, and I did pretty well for myself. And it brings a new level to how you collect cards and play fantasy. You get cards from all sorts of different walks of life. You have common cards, you have gold cards, and you earn these just by playing the game. And So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience by collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards like game tickets, like merchandise, extra cards, all kinds of other stuff. Win or lose, you still own your cards, and there's no cost to play. Plus, the more you win, the more you advance, collecting increasingly powerful cards and accessing next level competitions and rewards. And Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez are brand ambassadors, so you'll see them over everything that So Rare does. And they will also be engaging with the So Rare community throughout the season at MLB events. Head to SoRare.com/lockedon. That's spelled SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, and start competing today to win epic rewards. Again, that's SoRare.com/lockedon to start playing today. By the way, I had a whole pile of So Rare players for the most part, so that's why I won some money. So make sure you download it on your phone right now. It looks just like this.
All right. Yeah, that sounds awesome and great job. So let's get back to the series. I think that the Astros are going to be facing a totally different Pirates team than last year. I think some of the young guys, and we've already talked about some of them, are starting to find their form. Mitch Keller was one of those guys that a lot of people saw a lot of promise with. He got off to a rough start to his career, but now he was named the opening day starter, and he really was emotional about it. And I know that video took off on social media, but what can we expect to see from Mitch Keller?
He's going to hit the zone. That's one thing that he's finally doing, is instead of trying to work around the zone, he is actually just attacking hitters. And it's worked out pretty well for him for the most part. Ended 2022 really well, comes into 2023. Excuse me. And in that first opening day game against the Reds, his numbers did get a little inflated because he hit the century mark on pitches and gave up a double to Jason Vossler. That kind of inflated his ERA a little bit. Almost happened again against the Red Sox because Reese McGuire had a home run ball go about this far foul when he pitched a little too far into that game, but another great outing from him there. Just expect him to hit the zone with his fastball. He's going to love to use his slider. He loves to use his off-speed stuff too. And he's finally like a confident pitcher now. He doesn't like shy away from moments anymore. He doesn't get flustered when he gives up a bloop single. And Roansy Contreras, I'll say the same thing about him too. Nasty slider. He's going to use it. Rich Hill, you guys already know about that 68-mile-per-hour curveball as well. He's going to use that too. By the way, you mentioned Framber Valdez earlier. I see he had a good start. Christian Javier is one of my favorite pitchers in all of baseball, by the way, so I'm excited to obviously play him. I just like to see when players I like come to play the Pittsburgh Pirates. Doesn't happen very often. And then Jose Urquidy has the pitching staff at least been a bright spot amidst all the injuries for you guys so far.
You would think it would be. Hunter Brown just had we had our first 7-inning outing by Hunter Brown today. Now, you had 2 quality starts already, one by Javier, one by Valdez, but I think this was truly the best pitching performance that we've seen all season long. Hunter Brown, 7 innings, 7 strikeouts, was pounding the zone, power slider, 94 miles an hour, hitting, his fastball was there. I remember interviewing Joe Thon. He was actually with Fayetteville Woodpeckers, and he's moved up to Asheville. I'm sorry. He moved up to Double-A Corpus. And we were talking about Jose Urquidy. We were talking about the pitchers that the Astros had. And he said, the thing he loves about Urquidy is he throws strikes. He goes, pitchers forget that their job is to throw strikes. It's not to get outs. It's not to strike out. It's not to get ground balls. It's to throw strikes. And when you throw strikes, and if you're hitting the parts of the plate that your catcher's asking you to hit, you usually miss bats. And he said that's where Jose Urquidy gets into trouble, because he throws everything in the zone. Right. And so
that's why he gives up home runs.
Yeah. But that's what I love about this pitching staff. That's what I love about Christian Javier, because when Christian Javier is on, that invisible, like, it's hard to see coming out of his hand. The ball rises. And when you start your swing, you are, even with the baseball, when the baseball gets in the back of the mitt of the catcher, it's 2 or 3 inches over that bat. And that's what you love to see with the Astros pitching, where they haven't been stellar starting out. I think once they come into form, this is definitely one of the best rotations in baseball.
Yeah. Just a quick correction, Brett. Framber Valdez did throw 7 innings in his last start.
Oh, he did throw 7 innings. Okay,
yeah,
I thought he only went. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was hit around a little bit, but he did gut it out in that game. So on the 4th versus Tigers.
Oh, good deal. Okay, I honestly thought that this was the first time that we had a pitcher go 7.
First time outside of Framber Valdez, but we get your point. Hunter Brown needed to do that, and Framber Valdez needs to go and do it again tomorrow against the Pirates. If he does, keeps the Astros within a run or ahead of run or something, I think that the Astros have a good chance of winning the game. Christian Javier, there's a lot of people saying that he could finish the season with a better record better stats than maybe Framber Valdez does. And Urquidy, he's kind of the wild card. We don't know what to expect out of him. I mean, he was taken out of rotation at the end of the year last year. So, but he is one of those strike throwers, like Brett said. So, yeah, I think it's going to be, you're getting, I guess the Astros rotation isn't terrible, but you're getting the top 3 guys.
Yeah. And thankfully, we get the Cardinals after you guys. And I can tell you something, you definitely have a better rotation than the Cardinals. And JD Halfron over at Locked On Cardinals will know that when I do a crossover with him this week. So
thank you. We love throwing shade at the Cardinals. You know, they love to hack computers, so watch out.
All right. I feel like that might actually be a great stopping point before we go on a whole nother tangent.
Yes. Yeah. So I think this could be a good series. We'll see how the Pirates recover without O'Neill Cruz. The Astros need to just continue the good times rolling after this victory versus the Twins, because the Twins had a pretty good pitching staff. So I'm excited to place in Pittsburgh again. First time since 2016. So Ethan, once again, where can they find you on your Twitter, and where can they find your podcast?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at MVP_Ethan or at Locked On Pirates. I'm active on both of them. So you'll see in the coming weeks, you're going to see Los Angeles Clippers playoff talk on my main account. But then, of course, you can find me on YouTube, Spotify, Odyssey, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. And, of course, the Locked On Astros podcast.
All right. So that's all we got for this edition of Locked On Astros, Locked On Pirates podcast. My name is Eric Heisman. That's Brett Chansey. This is Ethan Smith, and we'll see you tomorrow. And go Stros. And I can't say the other word, but I'm sure Ethan can say it.
Go Bucks.
Yeah.
Oh, come
all
on.
right.
There you go. You can say it. You can say it. It's
no, I
fine.
can't.
Go Bucks.
All right.
Yeah, see, there it is.
All right. Bye, guys.